Alright, motherfuckers. You already know what it is. You already see the first slide. Let's get into it, class. Everyone gather around, sit down, take your seats, get out your notebooks. Jimmy, what have I told you before? No chewing in class. That's detention, all right? All right, class warning. So, what are we discussing today? You already see. Why you might have the wrong main. Now, I already know what y'all are thinking. You're thinking, bitch, I know my main. I've been playing Horang since Tekken 1. I know who I'm maining. You can't tell me shit, right? Who are you? Blah, 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 right? I know you think you know who your main is. And to be fair, maybe you're right. But what I propose to you is that some of you might not really be playing the character who best fits your style in Tekken. So what this is going to be is a discussion of styles of play in Tekken and ways of looking at the toolboxes available to us in the form of characters and ascertaining which of them do I actually want to use, right? Now again, by the end of this video, nothing might have changed. You might be like, nope, I'm a King main and I'm going to be a King main till I die. But hopefully, even if that's the case, there will be thoughts that arise in this video that will help you at least better understand Tekken more broadly. And that's what we're trying to do here, trying to become more knowledgeable about Tekken in general. So without further ado, let's get into it, okay? So, first things first. Your first choice versus your informed choice, right? This is a dilemma that happens in many areas of life, including Tekken. One of the things that pisses me off the most about the real world is university. Why do I mean that? When you really sit down and think about it, yeah, it's kind of fucked up, really fucked up. Take like an 18-year-old kid and be like, hey, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Think about it. You're 18 years old, right? You don't know shit, right? You don't know that you don't know shit at that point, because at 18 you think you know everything. But like, you don't know nothing. And you're going to make decisions about what industry you're going to be in, about the future trajectory of your life. In America, you guys get into tons of debt to do it, or you choose not to do that and potentially are taking yourself off a path that you may wish that you went on later on. It's a huge decision to make up front. And the tragedy of this situation is that in some ways, you're only really mature enough to make a decision about university, I think, when you're probably about, what, 25, 26? Then you could probably make an informed choice. But up to that point, you're really kind of just doing what the people in your life tell you to, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of us have that feeling where it's like, man, I studied X, but given what I know now, I actually probably would have studied Y. Do you know what I mean? Or like, I like X, but I didn't necessarily need to get a degree in X. I could have just pursued X on the side and got a degree in something more concrete, like this, right? I think a lot of us feel this way. And there are many situations like that where you have to make a choice up front with limited information. And then as you get more information, you then realize, perhaps the choice I made wasn't optimal, but I couldn't have known that back then. But the question is, what do I do now? Why am I thinking of this? What? I'll tell you why. So, there is a streamer who I love watching. Her name is Tricky Eileen. She is I think she's an elite virtual fighter player. I think she's probably the best Eileen, the character, in America, maybe the world, right? She's a top tier 3D fighter veteran, but she's kind of a scrub at Tekken, or she was a scrub at Tekken. She kind of dabbled a bit, but never took it seriously and tried to get good. But she made a commitment, I'm actually going to get good at Tekken 8. And her perspective is really fascinating, because you have this kind of unique mix of, on one hand, you have someone who knows what it takes to become a world-class fighting game player. But at the same time, you have someone who doesn't really get Tekken. Right? So it's actually, for me, it's actually been really helpful, because sometimes you'll be watching her and she'll do something and you'll be like, she'll say something and you'll be like, with all due respect, you're wrong, and you're going to learn the hard way, unfortunately. But then other times, she'll say something and I'm like, fuck, that is so insightful. I've been playing this game for years and I hadn't even thought of that. But you're spot on. Right? I'm going to leave a link to one of her videos. I highly recommend it if you're someone like me who kind of enjoys the learning aspect of Tekken, because it's fun not only to learn, but to watch other people learn and figure stuff out. She plays Xiaoyu, which is a key part of the story. But it's been really interesting watching her progress. But here's the problem. She has reached a stage in the game that I like to call the Tekken King Chasm. What is the Tekken King Chasm? Well, for the past 6 months, she's kind of been playing and getting better and better and better and moving up the rank ladder, getting those PNGs, right? We're getting Battle Ruler, we're getting Fujin, we're getting Kishin, we're getting Bushin, and then finally she made it Tekken King. Yay. And then something tragic happens. When you reach Tekken King for the first time, this is a warning, by the way. When you reach Tekken King for the first time, okay, your prowess skyrockets, right? It goes up hugely, right? You get boosted into like the 200k range. And because of the game's prowess-based matchmaking, it will now exclusively match you against other players in the 200k range, right? So what does this mean? This means that the moment you step into Tekken King, you experience what is probably the single largest spike in difficulty, right? And so inevitably what happens is you get demoted the first time. And there's no shame in that. That happens pretty much at every level, right? The first time you get to a threshold, you're probably going to get demoted. But now that you know you can do it, it almost like unlocks a barrier in your mind and in your emotions, and you know I can get there again. So it's not a big deal. But Tekken King is different. Because you see, even though now you've been pushed back to Bushin, you're not playing the same people you were fighting the last time you were Bushin, because your Tekken prowess is still up here. So now you're being matched up against a higher caliber of player. In fact, frankly, a higher caliber of player than you've played this entire time up. So what tends to happen is, the first time you make it Tekken King, you often get demoted, not once, not twice, but often 3, maybe even 4 times. And it's intense, right? It's killer. In fact, there's another streamer, I'll leave a link to his video, called The Jan, who's been talking about this for like the past few months, because it's a real killer, right? To yourself emotionally. Luckily, I was able to avoid that because like I'm pretty experienced in Tekken, thanks to Tekken 7, so it didn't hit me that much. But if this was my first Tekken game, I'm pretty sure it would have done a real number to me. And to be fair to Tricky, she's handled it like a boss, because she knows what it takes to become a world-class player in a game. So she knows this is a minor step back and she'll move on, right? But for the rest of us, it would really do a number on you emotionally. And so if you've reached that point, if you kind of watch Tekken King and you're like, man, why can't I get back? It's not just you. The game's doing this to you, right? And it's really frustrating because up to this point, you've been using those levels and those PNGs as a sort of measuring stick, right? Like there was a time in your Tekken career where you couldn't get past Battle Ruler. Like you were stuck between Battle Ruler and Fujin, let's say. But then eventually, you got so good that now you were stuck between Raijin and Kishin. And every time a Fujin came up, you'd beat their ass. So you're using these even though you know that rank isn't an accurate test of skill, it's accurate enough to give you a gauge of your progression. So to watch yourself go to essentially the top of this boundary and then get pushed all the way back to Raijin's, which previously, literally 2 weeks ago, you were consistently beating people with this rank. But now you're struggling against people in this rank. But the fucked up thing is that the game is hiding other people from you, because there are people in this rank, in Raijin, in Kishin, in Bushin, that you could probably beat more handily, but the game's kind of keeping them separate. So there's almost 2 versions of each of the blue ranks. Does what I'm saying make sense? There's Fujin 1.0, and then there's Fujin 2.0, right? There's Raijin 1.0, and then there's Raijin 2.0. So what Tricky is she's in this situation where she's in blue ranks 2.0. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because she's actually she's having this, a bit of a character crisis. In one of the streams I watched, she was asking a question. She was saying, now that I'm playing against these higher caliber of players, right? These players who kind of know how to deal with Xiaoyu's stuff and are typically smart enough to not directly engage, to back off. She's kind of realizing that, in order to win with this character, I'd have to actually play quite I have to take big risks, actually. I have to really expose myself in order to be able to open up turtles. And she's sort of asking the question like, is this really the character I want to play? So think about that. You spent the past 6 months with this character, getting to this highest point. But it's only now that you're at this higher level that you can actually see what playing this character actually means at a competitive level, right? And this happens to a lot of people, even me. I started playing Asuka. And let me tell you something, as someone who has pretty decent fundamentals and a solid amount of defensive knowledge, not to brag, playing Asuka off the Tekken King, it was a dream. It was a holiday. I was kicking everyone's ass. Oh, baby. I was hitting everyone with all the gimmicks. It was so much fun. I was ruining everyone's day. Everyone's day. If you're watching this, there's a good chance I ruined your day. I'm sorry, not sorry. It was so much fun. I was hitting people with the cheesiest shit. It was fun. It was fun. I was loving it. I was having a good time. Then I reached Tekken King with Asuka. And so now I'm dealing with players who kind of know how to deal with Asuka. And similar to Xiaoyu, they're kind of backing up. And so I have to try and open them up. And I'm realizing, oh, this isn't fun anymore, right? I'm realizing now, it was only once I got to Tekken King that I realized why the pros had Asuka so low. Because up to that point, I was like, what are you talking about? Asuka seems hella strong to me. Like, she seems really good. But when you get there, Tekken King, you go, oh, okay, no, I see the flaws. So long story short, I don't want to be one of those assholes who are like, oh, real Tekken starts with Tekken King. That's not true. Real Tekken starts wherever you are. But I will say that Tekken King is where you really get exposed to the consequences of your character choice. You don't know what your character is like until you get Tekken King. No matter who that is. Hwoarang, Brian, Steve, Leo, Xiaoyu, whoever you're playing, you actually don't know what playing them at a competitive level will be like until you've reached Tekken King. Because now you're dealing with players who, for the most part, kind of know how to get around your cheap stuff, which means that your move list is now limited to the stuff that's real, right? And so what typically happens is you will either go one way, right? You will either be like, well, I'm gonna knuckle down and focus on learning the more refined version of the character I've been playing all this time. Or you will do what I'm going to discuss in this video, is you actually go, okay, well, given what I now know about Tekken, given that, you know, I've been playing for 6 months, whatever, 4 months, however long it's been, I now have a better understanding of what Tekken is. So actually, now let me look at the entire toolbox again, right? And consider whose tools do I actually want, right? So again, to go back to my university analogy, it's like, okay, I went to college the first time to study fucking interpretive dance because I thought that's what I wanted to do. But now that I've worked in the actual real world and I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I don't think being a dancer is the career I want to do. I think I want to do something more stable and consistent. I'm going to go into plumbing, maybe, or I'll become an accountant, whatever, right? The point is, oftentimes your second choice is far more informed than your first, right? That was a long roundabout way of getting to this point. And you, dear viewer, might be in a similar situation. Okay? But before I get into that, I want to mention something else. In one of my other videos, I was talking about how why character loyalty is really difficult. And why actually in this game, I think it's probably in your best interest to move who you're using to fit your playstyle, which is similar. It's a similar thing to what I'm saying here. And I got quite a lot of pushback from a lot of people. Many people said it respectfully, some less so, but that's YouTube. But like, essentially, their argument was, nah, man, I've picked my character. I'm loyal to my character. I've been playing insert character here since Tekken 3, man. I ain't moving nowhere. I know what I'm doing, and I just wish I'm a real one. I'm not like these fucking tier whores jumping from character to character. Nah, I mean, I play that real Tekken. Nah, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what they were saying. And what's funny is that some of these people have YouTube footage like on their profile. So before I respond, I kind of click on their name and then watch them play. And they would often be, respectfully, bad at Tekken. Sorry. Like sometimes I'll be looking at them like, hey, look, I know you said that you're loyal to this character, but maybe you should play other characters. Just say it, right? But the reason I'm saying this is because, like, no one cares about character loyalty if you're hard stuck mighty ruler. Respectfully, right? No one cares. If you like, how do I put this? Because I'm not trying to be a dick or put people down, although that's definitely what that sounds like. What I'm trying to say though is, a lot of the times when people say that they're being loyal to their character, what they really mean is this is the only character they know how to play, is what I'm trying to say, right? Like, and so they'll frame it, again, we all do this, like we're all guilty of this, I know I'm guilty of this in the past, probably even now, but like, we all frame our faults as virtues, right? So we often will be like, oh, nah, man, I'm loyal to my character. Like, I don't want to play no one else, man. This is my character. I'm sticking with them. But the truth is because you know in your heart of hearts that if you played anyone else, you'd get washed, right? You can't play the other characters. Even the other characters that you like to complain about as being easy or dumb or brain dead. You know in your heart of hearts that you could not get that character to the rank you're currently at with your mate. Like, you know you could, right? And that's fine, okay? But like, the point I'm trying to get to, or the point I want you to consider, is if you are someone who considers yourself loyal to a character, could you actually play another character? That's the question. Could you? Because I think you can only really say you're loyal to character X if you could, in theory, play character Y. Does that get what I'm saying? Like, you actually have to be good with another character or decent with other characters in order to say like, no, but this is the one I commit to, right? And so there's a difference between someone who has character loyalty and for someone who their character is a crutch. And so to that response, I would say even if you are a hardcore, loyal Brian main, Brian is my character, I will play Brian until I die. That's cool. But even to you, dear viewer, I suspect that you would benefit from playing a couple weeks of another character. Because different characters incentivize and focus on certain aspects of the game. And so if you only play one character, typically you'll be like a bodybuilder who has one really strong arm and kind of a weak arm, right? Because the things that your character focuses on will be really well developed. But the other aspects of your game that your character doesn't really do well at will be gone. Like, I'll speak for myself, for example, right? I played Leo, I played Lily back in the day, I played Asuka, I played some Fang. And for most of my Tekken career, I've not understood how you could play with a character who doesn't have a big low. I don't get that. Because for me, if my opponents just stand blocking and they're turtling, I do the big low. And typically my characters will have a hell sweep or a chunky low that I can just tag them with. And so a part of me's been thinking like, I don't understand Steve. Because Steve doesn't really have a big low. So how does Steve win? So I already know intellectually that if I want to become a better Tekken player in general, I, Chad Barley, should probably learn Steve. Like, I would actually be better. If I took a month out of my Tekken career to play some Steve, I would undoubtedly become a more knowledgeable Tekken player by playing Steve, right? And so for you, the same thing is true, right? Like, you just different characters, okay? So what I want you to invite you to consider is think of it like the Hunger Games, okay? This is how I view Tekken. I'm not saying this is how Tekken should be viewed, but it's how I view Tekken. And hopefully for you, it'll help you here too. Imagine, if you will, you and your opponent are brought into a large white room, okay? And you are told by a dashing gentleman in a waistcoat that tonight, you and your opponent will fight to the death. Now, on the table in front of you are boxes of tools and weapons. Box 1 is labeled Kazuya. Box 2 is labeled Leo. Box 3 is labeled Yoshimitsu, etc., etc. And there are 2 of each, so both of you could, in theory, pick the exact same box of tools. Each one in it has a combination of weapons, of tools, of protections that you can use. But the ultimate goal isn't to master one toolbox. The ultimate goal is to kill your opponent. But it's up to you which of these tools you value in that goal of killing your opponent. That's how I view Tekken, which is why, again, even if you have a set main, it behooves you to become very knowledgeable about all of, or as many of the toolboxes as you possibly can, right? So what we're going to do in this video, this is kind of a very long intro, I suppose, but what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at 3 toolboxes, right? We're going to look at 3 toolboxes that I actually think represent very different parts of the Tekken environment, let's say, right? We're going to look at Kazuya, we're going to look at Xiaoyu, we're going to look at Leo, okay? Now, full disclosure, I'm not going to go through every single move in that character's moveset. In fact, I'm literally only going to go through 2 moves in detail, and then 1 suite of moves that I think complement those 2 moves. Now, I'm genuinely, in my heart of hearts, trying to pick the 2 moves that I think do the best job of exemplifying what this character excels at and what the character was designed / balanced around, okay? You, watching this, might feel differently. You, if you had to do this task, might pick 2 different moves. But trust when I say that I am not doing, if I picked the wrong moves, I didn't do it disingenuously, I wasn't trying to be mean. I generally thought the moves that I thought, from my understanding of the character, best exemplify what the character's about. And I invite you to do the same with whatever character you play, ultimately, okay? So, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into it, okay? Toolbox 1, Kazuya. So, what's the first move I'm going to look at? I think it should be obvious what the first move I'm going to look at is. It's one of the best moves in the game. The Electric Wind God Fist. Iconic. Tekken mainstay. Like the Hadouken and the Dragon Punch in Street Fighter. This is a truly iconic move. But let's break it down to pieces. What is the Electric Wind God Fist? First of all, it's an I-14 standing launcher. You could punish -14 moves. Launch punishing. That, on its own, is massive. There are actually very few I-14 standing launchers in the entire game. Merely having one is a blessing, is a boon, right? It's huge because it essentially, it limits your opponent's usable moveset, or at least it allows you to, how do I put this? It disincentivizes a great amount of your opponent's move, right? It's fucking huge. And so moves like this typically need to have a downside. So for this one, for an I-14 standing launcher, I assume it's going to be like probably, you know, punishable on block. Oh wait, it's not. It's plus on block. Whoa. Okay. Now this move is kind of crazy, right? It's a I-14, high, to be fair, high. Standing launcher, that's plus on block. That is wild. That again, let that sink in. That's huge. So I'm assuming then that given that it's a high and it's plus on block, I-14 standing launcher, it's probably balanced by being a big whiff. Like if you whiff it, you probably just like, you know, you do that classic Asuka animation and then your opponent gets to punish you, right? No, there's almost no whiff recovery on this move. This move can actually be thrown out pretty indiscriminately in neutral, because the only way someone's whiff punishing you is if they were already crouching and waiting for it, right? This move just gets better and better. This is intense. I-14 standing launcher, plus on block, and can be used as keep out, as effective keep out because of the very little whiff recovery. That's massive. I'm like, okay, given these traits, undoubtedly, the damage must be like minimal. Damage scaling is like through the roof. It's going to be like the maximum combo you could probably get off this, probably not that big. Oh boy. Actually, it's tier 1 damage. Like, okay, this move seems insane. This is like the greatest move ever created in the history of ever. Like, we're done. I'm playing whatever character has this move. Like, this is the best move in the ground. It's broken, it's brain dead, it's ridiculous. How do you possibly balance a move like this? Intricate execution. The balance, this move is balanced around the fact that it is not easy to do. It is so intensely powerful that it requires there to be a cost in the form of execution. And in many ways, the cost of execution isn't really a cost of execution. It's actually a cost of consistency, right? Because it means that sometimes you'll block a -14 move and you'll go to do the punish and you won't do it. You'll fuck it up. You'll stumble. So the real cost isn't execution. It's a cost in consistency, right? It's so powerful, but inconsistent. It's unstable, right? Right? Now, Kazuya also gets no other standing launcher, right? This is key. Again, it goes back to the reduced consistency. This is a key element of balancing the move and the character. It would be obscene for a character with this kind of powerful move to not be able to be, for it to be as easy to use as everything else. It has to be made difficult. The difficulty of doing it is what keeps the insane power of it honest. It's similar, if you ever played Pokemon, to Thunder was a Thunderbolt. For fellow Pokemon players, you already know where I'm going with this, but if you don't know, the move Thunder does 120 damage. It's a lot of damage, right? But it has a 70% accuracy, meaning that you will miss it 30% of the time. Meanwhile, Thunderbolt only does 90 damage, but you will hit it 100% of the time. So, which do you prefer? Both of these choices are valid. I will say that again. Both of these choices are valid. Do you want intense power at the cost of reduced consistency? Or will you take the reduced power at the cost of increased consistency? This is a strategic choice that intelligent humans can be on either side of, right? And this is why I think there was a lot of, we identify with our characters so much. Because if you're the kind of person who's like, yeah, I'm willing to risk, I like power. I really like fucking power. And I'll take a drop in consistency to have greater power, especially given the fact that if I'm willing to train hard enough and consistently enough and clutch enough, I can actually increase the consistency to where I want it to be. It'll never be 100%. You'll always be less consistent than if you just had a regular standard launcher. But I'm willing to trade power for consistency, right? And this is a choice you must make as a Kazuya player. It's a bold choice. I dare say a brave choice that you must make if you were to be a Kazuya player, okay? And this is a large part of the character identity. Final notes. The move also has phantom tracking to the left. This is important. Keep this in mind. Now we're going to look at move 2. Move 2, the Hell Sweep. This is a high damage low. Real high damage. You eat 5 of these, you lose the fucking round. You're done. Okay? That's big. It essentially puts this move alone, puts your opponent on a sort of action clock. You do not want him to wave a wave at you too many times. Because if he gets wrong 5 times with the Hell Sweep, you're dead. Okay? That's a pro. That's a plus. 2. It wall splats consistently. This is something that people who talk about the Hell Sweep, especially when they try and compare it to my boy Leo, they overlook this fact. Leo's wall splats, we won't get to Leo. The point is, Kazuya's Hell Sweep wall splats consistently. Like, it can often wall splat from a side wall or a forward facing wall. And you have to understand what this does. If Hell Sweep wall splats, it's no longer a solid low. It's functionally a launcher, a full launcher, which means that the Hell Sweep, not only is it like a 5 life, gives your opponent like a 5 lives opportunity, it can, if there are walls on the stage, which they often are, it could often be a 2.5 live situation. This is huge and should not be overlooked in the power of this move. It is intensely powerful, okay? I'm talking about the regular one, not the kicky one, okay? Sets up the 50-50 vortex. This is another thing that I think is not necessarily often overlooked, but should always be considered when we compare it to things like Leo's Hell Sweep or to Paul's Demolition Man. Unlike these other moves I mentioned, which knock you away and knock the opponent in the classic face up, feet towards position, at essentially a neutral position, this leaves you in the perfect range to Hell Sweep and do it again, or to do Kazuya's Steel Pedal. Long story short, meaning that unlike other big lows, when Kazuya lands his pressure doesn't stop. His pressure now starts. This is a major difference to understand, right? So he is taking a massive risk to do it, but when he does it and it works, he gets more and more momentum. This is what makes Kazuya a sort of a steamrolly character, because you are now in the mix. Whereas for other characters, when you land the Hell Sweep, okay, you got a grip of damage, but you're back to neutral. You've been knocked away, you're done. Unless you're at the wall, you're essentially going to get back up and we're back in the game, okay? So this sets up Kazuya's 50-50. These are all big pluses, huge pluses. Now, surely there are downsides? Of course there are. Oh, first one, slow startup. Unlike those moves I mentioned, Leo's Hell Sweep and Paul's Hell Sweep, this one has to be done out of a wave dash. So there is an inherent speed cost. You can't just do it. You can't just think it and immediately do it. You almost have to set it up slightly in terms of movement, okay? And you have to create the row, which is why it's often most dangerous when you've knocked the opponent down, because then you can do it on their wake up, right? But this is a cost. You can't do it almost like defensively. It always has to be on offense. Paul tracking to the left, okay? As everyone always says, just I walk left, bro. Just I walk left, bro. I'm not going to relitigate that here. I think, missing a key point. We'll discuss that later. But the point is, it does have weak tracking to the left. So that is a weakness. If you are predictable with your timing, your opponent can easily sidewalk it and punish you. But here's the thing. They don't even have to do that. Because if they block it, you're fucking dead. You're fucking dead, okay? It's high risk, high reward. And again, that term I just used, high risk, high reward, speaks to Kazuya across the board. Increased power, reduced consistency. Kazuya is designed to be unstable. Incredibly powerful, but unstable. This is key element of his character. And if you are not down for that, then you have picked the wrong character. If you are looking for safe, conservative Tekken, Kazuya is not the choice for you. If, however, you are looking for a fucking rocket launcher, Kazuya is the guy for you, okay? So now we're going to talk about the mid-suite. Why am I going to talk about the mid-suite? I just talked about a very dangerous high and a very dangerous low. So obviously, Chad, the solution is just duck. Duh, just duck against Kazuya, right? Fucking no. Because he has Demon Paw, insane range, phantom tracking, and absurd risk reward, lol, risk reward, I can't even spell, right? Insane risk reward, because it's safe on block, heat engages for a plus 17 mix-up on hit, or is heat dashable if you're already in heat. And the thickness of the hitbox seems to randomly increase when you're in heat too, making it almost non-steppable. It's fucking wild. So ducking against this guy is dangerous. Standing against this guy is dangerous, okay? You are always in danger when Kazuya is in front of you, okay? Especially if he has one backdash worth of space in front of you. You're in danger. 4-4-3, a safe, forward advancing mid-launcher. Again, to dissuade you just crouching, okay? Very dangerous. Now you could just say, sidewalk left. But ignoring the fact that he also has a heat engaging tracking move, and a powerful tracking move beyond that, we also have to keep in mind that the Electro in Godfist also has phantom tracking to decide you mid-step. This is a nightmare, right? And we've all been hit by that. We've all sidestepped trying to avoid the Hell Sweep and eaten an electric, right? It's part of the design, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Patricide Fist! Also a killer addition to the moveset. Plus unblock, phantom tracking to the left, and knocks down on hit, right? Launches on hit or counter hit. Like, this move's crazy, right? And he should have it. I'm not trying to get it removed. He should have it. This is a Tekken 8 move. He needs to have this. But the mid sweep, you can see how the mid sweep complements the crazy aspect in the middle, right? He has intense power against people who are stand blocking, and conservative power against people. Oh wait, no, I take that back. Where'd I put this? Yeah, he has intense power in the moves that can only be defended by crouching, but he has fairly conservative power against the people who are crouching, right? So he is always a threat, and this is by design. So let's do a summary of the character in general, right? Hopefully, by listening to this, you have a sense of, again, go back to my analogy, you've been left into the fucking murder room, and I've offered you a bunch of boxes, like, oh, which box do you want? Imagine the gentleman said, oh, yes, these are all the tools. You can understand the kind of person who'd be like, I'm picking the Kazuya one, right? The kind of person who picks the Kazuya 2 box in our death game, in our battle royale scenario, is the kind of person who values power over consistency. That's a choice they've made. They are also someone who values mid, low, fast, slow mix-ups. This is, again, to go back to the just sidewalk left, bro, this is the aspect that I think really upsets me the most. Timing is the ultimate mix-up tool. Not mid-low, fast-slow. And unlike most other stances, Kazuya's stance, the wave dash, is advancing. This fact allows him to not only mix up mid or low, but also fast-slow. So this idea that, well, you know, there's counterplay, you just sidewalk left, completely ignores the fact that you can't do that against someone who is changing up their timing. Now again, I'm not trying to relitigate this because I've said this multiple times and I've been rebutted multiple times by people. But I ask you, if you disagree with me, let us be scientists about this. Let us be men of reason. I propose to you a very simple experiment. I proposed it before, but I'm going to say it again. Instead of listening to me, or to other Kazuya players, don't listen to the main man, or the buff guy, or the other Kazuya players online who kind of speak speak about this mix-up being avoidable, I'm being kind of having clear counterplay. Don't listen to me either. I'm a scrub. What do I know? Okay? Simply go watch the best players in the world. That to me is like the ultimate. Do your experiment in the wild, okay? I could easily create a lab scenario, you know, in my training mode to show you, oh, look, see, this is very steppable, right? Ignoring the fact that I obviously know the timing. And you could do the opposite, right? To show you that, oh, right, no, it's unavoidable, right? Instead, fuck all of that. Just watch the pros. Watch HDTR. Watch Ni, watch Arslan, watch Atif, watch Junding, watch Ranchu. Watch the best players in the world deal with Kazuyas. Not just Kaisuke, but top level Kazuyas. If what I'm saying is wrong, then what you should see is that they almost never get hit by or block a Hell Sweep, get hit by or block a Patricide Fist, get hit by or block a forward through. Because simply by sidewalking left, they should be able to eliminate those moves entirely. They should neither get hit by it or block it, right? That would be the proof of my wrongness. Go get that video, send it to me, right? Send me multiple of them, and I will go, you know what? You're right, you got me. If, however, when you do this experiment and you watch the highest levels of play, you see these players that I mentioned get hit by and or block those very moves, then would it not suggest to you that the mix-up is in fact very real? Because if the best players in the world cannot do it, I put it to you, dear viewer, that you can't do it either, and neither can I. Okay? So I just want to put that out there. This idea that, oh, it's fine because there's clear counterplay. There isn't clear counterplay. There's only counterplay if it's mid-low and the timing is one way. But if the timing can be altered, as it can, then it's a four-dimensional mix-up because it's mid-low and fast-slow. And this is a key concept that we need to get into people's heads, right? Mid-low, fast-slow. That is the most powerful type of mix-up in the game. Okay? Now, streamlined decision-making. Kazuya has such powerful tools that when you decide to go in, you actually don't have to think too much about what to use to get in. You have some decision-making to make, but it's not that hard. The Electric Wind Godfist is such a universal tool. It is a great keep-out tool, it is a great punishment tool, it is a great combo filler, right? It is very useful in many situations. Forward 4-2, by contrast, is cash money. Forward 4-2 is just like, my opponent is far away from me, I'm gonna go forward and then do nothing, go back, don't do nothing, go forward, don't do nothing, go back, not do forward, 4-4-2, right? If you change up your timing, you can essentially pick the time to engage, right? 4-4-3, if you notice that their movement is suspect and they're instead crouching a lot. Demon Paw, if you notice that they're actually trying to catch you by sidestepping a lot, because Petrified Fist actually goes more dangerous the more that people try to sidestep left, right? And if you are feeling, and if you want to put them on the clock, you have Hell Sweep, right? This setup I've described is the Kazuya game plan. There are other tools, of course, as there are for every character, but this is the Kazuya setup. It is very streamlined decision making. Much of your time and effort is spent on being able to execute the skills physically, to make yourself do it. But the actual act of mentally deciding what to do is not as hard, because you have such intense power at your disposal, okay? But where the thinking does take place is on defense, because you'll notice, dear viewer, that none of the tools I've mentioned help you on defense at all. You do not pick up the Kazuya toolbox because you want defensive assistance. You pick up the Kazuya toolbox because you want intense offensive pressure and damage. Damahe. That's why you pick Kazuya, okay? So you get no help on defense. And again, this is the choice you make when you pick the Kazuya box. Move on to the next one. Ling, Xiaoyu. What two moves am I going to pick? I think they should be pretty obvious. Number one, the AOP stance. Right? AOP stance, for those of you who don't know, it's the Art of Phoenix, when she does that, like, you know, low thing. Why is AOP stance powerful? The AOP stance is a crouch and a sidestep at the same time. That is what AOP is at its essence. What makes AOP stance so powerful and so beautiful, in my opinion, is that unlike other characters who must, when they're in their sort of movement phase, decide whether to sidestep or crouch, Xiaoyu is able to do both at the same time. This gives Xiaoyu the ability to create whiffs no one else can make. Because oftentimes, crouching is a huge risk. You are risking taking a huge mid. Sidestepping is a huge risk. You're risking taking anything that will hit on that side. Crouching and sidestepping reduces the amount of things that could possibly hit you in the window in which you are doing it. So, if I know your timing, the AOP stance can create whiffs that just no one else can create. This is massively powerful, right? In the right hands. AOP duck can force mids to whiff, right? I know we've all seen the video from launch Tekken 8, where like, oh, this move can make your lows whiff. That's been changed. But AOP duck still can make mids whiff with consistency. You have to time it quite well. It's very risky to do, but you can do it. I personally don't like it. I think the move should be removed. I think even if you removed it, this pass is still incredible. But even if they do keep it, that's fine. It's in the game, right? It is part of the character. But you have to be careful about what it affects. It's rule breaking though, so I have mixed feelings about this. But the point is, this move is also able to create whiffs. AOP stance, however, is also risky. AOP stance is most powerful on immediate timing. If I am wrong about the timing, or wrong about the move you will choose, I will die, because you can't block in AOP. at all. So you have to remember, as annoying as it might be to deal with AOP, it is very risky to do AOP. I know people like to be like, oh, this stance makes you invincible. And whenever I hear people say that, I know that I'm not listening to a serious person. Because I think you know in your heart of heart that you pick up to AOP right now and just go into the map and just go, I'm just going to AOP randomly. See how long you last. Just try it. Just try it. See how long you last, okay? This, for me, is the biggest issue with AOP. It relies on your opponent's predictability and or ignorance in order to work. It is very effective against scrubs. It is very effective at low level. It's also very effective when a game has just come out, because you don't yet know what will catch it and what won't catch it. However, these things fade. People learn, people adapt, people change their timings. And so the higher up in the skill, sort of in the skill progression you get, the efficacy of AOP actually starts to go down over time. Your ability to use it goes up, but the efficacy of it comes down. But make no mistake, even at the highest levels of play, it can still create whiffs out of nothing. Okay? Don't get twisted. Still very powerful. But it relies on, it's risky because it relies on your opponent. It's not like, say, an Electric Wind Godfist, in which the power of it is in your hands. You choose when to do it, you choose how to do it, you just make it happen. The power of this actually is in your opponent's hands, ironically. And tools that give the opponent power can still be powerful, but you have to keep that in mind that the power is not fully in your control. Stance number 2, Hypnotist stance. This is the big one for Tekken 8. As I mentioned for Kazuya, this is a mid-low, fast-slow mix-up, which is what makes it more deadly than a typical mid-low mix-up, because you don't know the speed at which the move will come out. This is very useful in general, very annoying to deal with, but very powerful. Incredible risk-reward in Heat, okay? This becomes a minus 13 low, minus 13 on block low, that knocks down for a solid chunk of damage. And if you wait for about 13 frames and then do the move, it becomes a launcher, a hell sweep. So basically a 30, what would that be? A 33 frame hell sweep, essentially. But with an odd mix, because you don't want to push buttons too quickly, because if you do, you might get hit by the mid, hypnotist stance. So it's a very dangerous mix-up. But the risk reward is very much in your favor when you do it in Heat. Very much so. It's one of the best mix-ups. Maybe the best mix-up in the game. It also has a manual parry. I only recently learned this, but if you do hypnotist stance, the first initial frames of it, if you do it manually, you can parry moves, meaning that you can actually turn your opponent's offense against them and then put them in an unfavorable mid-low, fast-low mix-up. You can literally turn tables on them in a very scary way. It's very cool, I think. Yeah, that's insanely powerful. Now we're getting to cons though. While the Hypnotist mix is very powerful in Heat, it is very poor risk reward out of Heat, especially now that it's been made minus 13 on block, right? These numbers, I'll tell you what they mean. In order for the low to be a knockdown low, not a hell sweep, just a knockdown low. Sorry, not a snake edge, just a knockdown low. Xiaoyu has to move 13 frames, right? She has to walk for 13 frames. And then also do the move, which is 20 frames. So we're at 32 frames in order for the knockdown low to whoosh, take you off your feet, and then she gets the guaranteed follow-up. In order for the hell sweep to happen, she has to wait for 41 frames. I want to say that again. 41 frames plus 20 frames for it to be a snake edge. So when next time you hear someone say, "Oh my god, I can't believe they gave her a fucking snake edge in the stance and it's only minus 12 on block. How could you make it minus 12 on block?" The reason you can make it minus 25 on block, you dick, is because it's 60 frames startup. 60 frames startup. You can drive to the supermarket, buy your week's groceries, a month's groceries, come back and still have to wait for the move to wind up. That's why the cost in terms of block punishment is so low, because the cost in terms of startup is so high. That's how you balance this move out. So just keep that in mind, all right? Outside of Heat, the risk reward of this is actually kind of shocking, because now, if you don't wait at all, if you just go for the immediate low, it's still minus 13. You're getting launched by some pretty dangerous characters in the game, including the one I just mentioned, Mr. Kazuya, okay? So actually, the risk reward outside of Heat, not that great. In Heat, though, different story, which is why they have 2 separate tabs in the pros and the cons. Last con, I think, is it is position dependent. Unlike, say, Kazuya's mix-up, who he can wave in and create the mix-up, you have to be stationary in order for this mix-up to work. Because while she's doing the walking around, you can just backdash and be out of danger. So, functionally, she can only do it once she has knocked you down or once you're back to the wall. That's it. That's it. So it's very situational when she can do it. When she can do this essentially forced mix-up. Now let's look at the suite that I'm going to look at. For Xiaoyu, I want to look at the punishment suite, because I think that's the suite that I think captures Xiaoyu's real strength. 1. A 10-frame mix-up punish. She has a 10-frame punish into back turn, which is a mix-up stance, or 10-frame into hypnotist stance, right? Huge. From 10-frame, that's huge. 13-frame heat engaging punisher. That's huge. By block 10 is minus 13, I can go straight into heat. That's huge. She has a 14-frame launcher. Remember what we said about the Electric Ring Godfist? A 14-frame launcher is massive. Admittedly, hers is punishable on block, but it's still, that's fucking huge to have that. And a standard 15-frame launcher, unlike Kazuya, has a standard 15-frame launcher. Both of which, easy to execute. 60-frame hop kick. Also useful, right? And you can do that from while standing, right? So, why then would one pick Ling Xiaoyu? Some of you might be thinking, you pick Xiaoyu when you're a basic bitch. You pick Xiaoyu when you're a gimmicky bitch, anti-Tekken, gimmicky, blah, blah, blah. You're not, okay. Yes, people like to say that shit, but the real answer is this. You play Xiaoyu if you want to have the best defense in the game. If you're defensive minded, if you want to be able to escape situations that no one else can escape, if you, like me, hate having to hold pressure and just being like, wow, I just have to guess right. My only option is guess right. If you hate that situation, that feeling, Xiaoyu might be the one for you. Because Xiaoyu has tons of tools that can allow her to escape things that no one else can escape. And can often even turn the tables on their opponent. This is huge. She's also great at flowchart sabotage, right? Everyone who plays this game has flowcharts. I don't care who you are, everyone who plays this game has flowcharts, because Tekken moves too quickly. So oftentimes we have moves or sequences that we do while we think of what to do next. This is true for everyone who plays this game, at every level. Xiaoyu is really good at, once I've identified what your flowchart is, more often than not, she can do things which blow up your flowcharts. And I think this, more than anything, is why people hate Ling Xiaoyu. I'll give you an example from my play. I'll be playing Leo. I will do down 2, which is +4 on block, into down forward 1, 13-frame launch, 13-frame check, right? I'm just doing that to keep you honest. It's a modest, not that crazy. And I'll often do it without thinking. Bang, bang. Xiaoyu will AOP under the down forward 1 and launch me for doing what is essentially a very safe, conservative couple of moves. And what pisses me off the most is that in round 1, I will do it, and she will launch me, and I'll be like, ah, fucking Xiaoyu, fucking gimmicky, blah, blah, blah. And then in round 2, I will do down 2, into down forward 1, and she'll launch it again. I'm like, okay, now I'm stupid, right? Because I wasn't thinking. This is just a sequence that I do without thinking. And we all have sequences like this. And Xiaoyu is incredible at murdering you for using these sequences. She's the best at that. The second a Xiaoyu player knows what your go-to flowchart is, if she's done her homework, there's almost certainly something in her moveset that can make you die for it, right? That is one of her biggest advantages. Her evasive, slippery nature also, ironically, forces honesty. It's ironic that people always complain about how Xiaoyu is one of the least honest characters in the game, and she is. But she also forces other people to play far more honestly than they would. So for example, you want to do like, Horan wants to do like down 3-4 stance pressure, you go, nope, 8-frame button says no, stop that. So now you have to play neutral again. Or Lars wants to do his fucking spin to win, fucking Beyblade, spinning magic action, and you go, nope, stop that, stop it, got it. And push him away, now you have to play honest neutral, right? Also, it can make people who are naturally quite aggressive kind of slow their roll down, because they know that if they push a button at the wrong time, it can cost them everything. And the more they interact with Xiaoyu, the more opportunities and gaps they create for Xiaoyu to potentially slip under and destroy. Right? That's what she does. Let's talk about cons though. One of the biggest cons that Xiaoyu has is that she has very stubby range. And not only does she have very stubby range, she's not sticky. All of her bullshit is very easy to escape if you just backdash. If you backdash, things like her low launching sweep, not gonna work. If she tries to do hypnotist stance on you like in the wild, you can just backdash out of it and it'd be safe from all options. If she just trying to pressure you, she doesn't have like big plus frame type moves. It is very easy to backdash out of her preferred range. And if you happen to be a character whose preferred range is like a backdash away, that's a real nightmare for you because you have no real way of keeping them in your preferred range. And this is something that she really struggles with at high level. And again, it's part of her identity. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. This is how it's meant to be. She also has very complex decision making. Again, I know it's very fun to just be like, oh, Xiaoyu players don't know what they're doing. And to be fair, there's a lot of dumb Xiaoyu players out there, me included, I guess. But for a good Xiaoyu player, there's a lot of thinking that has to be done because I still have to find the gaps. I refer you back to my AOP stance thing where the power of it comes from my opponent's predictability. So I have to be reading you constantly. I have to know when you're going to do that move that I've labbed and I know I can crash under, right? It's not the same as having like a really powerful I-14 move that I can just throw out. It doesn't matter who you are, I can just fucking throw it out. The power of Xiaoyu's power comes from undermining you, right? She's a saboteur. That's kind of her playstyle. I don't know if this is a weird analogy, so forgive me, but I used to play a game called Guild Wars. Guild Wars 1. And in Guild Wars 1, there was a class called the Mesmer. And in many games, you have like the classic triangle of like the tank, the DPS, and the healer. But the Mesmer, the job of the Mesmer was to make you bad at your job. That was the goal of the Mesmer. So for example, the Mesmer would attack the energy pool of the healer, so they didn't have enough energy to cast their healing spells. That was how they were. So they would stop the healer from being good at their job. Or let's say you were a physical attacker. They would cast a hex on you, so that made you take damage the more you attacked. Therefore, the faster you were attacking, the faster you were killing yourself, right? Or they would cast a hex on the spellcaster, meaning they would take a chunk of damage every time they cast a spell. So it was a case of like, I'm not going to directly damage you. I'm going to help you kill yourself. That's the plan. And Ling Xiaoyu is that energy made manifest. I have tons of punishment. So if you do a move to me that is -10, you're gonna pay for it. If you do a move that's -14, you're gonna pay for it. If you do a move that's -15, you're gonna pay for it, right? I'm gonna punish you all the way through all the frames, right? Ooh, I wonder what that is. Also, if you do flowcharty strings, I'm gonna slip onto them and blow you up. She's a saboteur. That's her playstyle. And so if that sounds appealing to you, if unlike say the Kazuya player was, I want to have raw power, I want to risk consistency. I'm like, actually, I want to be able to sabotage the will of my enemies. That's my go-to strategy for dealing against in combat. Then Ling Xiaoyu is a player for you, is a character for you. Okay? Oh! Last card, I forgot. No turtle opener. I think I've already alluded to this. If you are just backdashing, backdash, she has no way to force a mix-up on you and open you up. She doesn't. Which is why I think, well, not even I think, it's why I know they made the heat mix-up as powerful as it was. Because they knew that in this environment of Tekken 8, if you don't have a force mix-up, you die. It's that simple. You die. And they knew that the only force mix-up she gets is hypnotist mix. And you can't afford to make it that powerful. Again, refer to what I said with the poor risk-reward out of heat. Therefore, in order to balance it, you have to be like, okay, the version you get outside of heat is not that great. But in heat, you'll get a top-tier version. So you'll always get at least one bite of the cherry. That's how they've designed it. And when you're dealing with this, it must be very frustrating. But you can understand why the game designers have done this. Because this is a game where you need to have a force mix or you die. Right? So that's that. So she has no turtle open. She can't open turtles outside of heat at all. And she relies on heat exclusively, really, to deal with someone who is truly just being defensive and trying to wall her. Okay, toolbox 3. Toolbox 3. A toolbox very dear to my heart. Leo! Okay, so a lot of people talk about Leo and they don't know what to say. I remember watching the main man video when it first came out, and he did a guide like, hey, here's what this character does, here's what this character does, and he was like, yeah, Leo is Leo. Leo does Leo things. I don't think anyone cares about Leo. Let's move on. Right? He literally was just like, no one knows what this character does. And this happens a lot. It's actually funny and tragic when you play Leo, because you're gonna go, oh, I wonder what this person will say about Leo. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, don't know about Leo. I don't know. They're there, I guess. It's like, oh, well. That's what it's like being a Leo main, I suppose. So, the moves I'm going to look at are, well, start with this. Down forward 2. Again, I picked moves that I think are blatantly above the power curve. I don't think Leo has many that are blatantly above the power curve, but I think down forward 2 is one of them. Why is down forward 2 good? First pro, great range. It's a good range down forward 2. Simple. It's a down forward 2, it has good range. I don't know what to tell you. Like, having good range on the down forward 2 is pretty useful. It means the number of moves you can whiff punish are bigger than that of most people. Right? Good down forward 2. Nothing else to say. Phantom tracking left and right. This is something that I think a lot of high-level players recognize. Low level players don't yet. But as you start to sidestep more as you play, you realize this. Leo's down forward 2 has a weird phantom tracking to the left and the right. Which is great and important for a character who is as linear as Leo is. Historically, Leo's down forward 2 didn't used to launch crouches. So sidestep crouch was the best way to bait Leo, because Leo could do nothing about it. And then eventually in season 5, they made it so that Leo's down forward 2 now launches crouches, which I think he always should have. But when you now have a down forward 2 that is only -12 on block, which is what a down forward 2 should be, tracks slightly to the left and right, has good forward range, and launches crouches. It's good down forward 2. Again, it's not the electric wing godfist, it's not flashy, but it's good. And you're gonna hear that a lot when you talk about Leo. When you talk about Leo, you hear a lot of not flashy, but it's good. It's not much. It's not its work. Like, this is what it is, right? And that's really what Leo's down forward 2 is. It's good down forward 2. You feel like having good down forward 2? Now, here's my favorite bit. What about the cons? None. There are no cons. It's good down forward 2. That's the move. You know what I mean? That's it. That's it. It's a good down forward 2. And again, you'll get this a lot when you're looking at Leo. It's like, yeah, it's a good move. Yeah, it's a good move too. Good move too. Spoilers for what's coming up. Leo's biggest pro is a lack of cons. That's Leo's biggest pro. Is that Leo just has a bunch of good moves. None of them are Electric Wind Godfist good. But they're good. And they don't have the downsides. And that's kind of how the character is balanced. And always been balanced. Just solid, conservative, Tekken. That's it. That's it. Down 4-2-3. This is a great learn, fantastic learn. And I want to talk about this because a lot of people talk shit when they try to annoy me, and they try to talk about like, oh, Leo needs to be nerfed. This is always the move they go to, and I'm going to shut down this debate once and for all right here. So let's go through it. And again, I'm going to try and be fair. Yeah, no downplaying in this channel. Good damage, what it does. Right, down 4-2-3. It's good damage. It's not a hell sweep. It's good damage. Awkward +5 mix-up. When I'd hit you with this, I am +5, and I am in crouch, you are not. It's a very awkward position. Most characters have nothing they can do, really, including sidestep, to really interrupt that. So they have to hold whatever comes next. Yoshimitsu can flash it. And I think Xiaoyu might be able to back one, because she has an 8-frame move. I didn't mention that in that video, now that I think about it. But there are certain characters who can, like, escape that situation. But for the most part, you just have to hold it, right? And to be fair, the follow-ups aren't that crazy either. But it's very annoying to get hit by it. Counter hit launches. That's huge. It's very good to have a move that counter hit launches, right? Very good. Low counter hit launches. Strong move. Good property. Fast high crush. It goes on the highs. It's very useful when you're engaging in a close range poking battle. If I tie my down forward 2-3 under one of your highs, I'm going to crush your high real quick and counter hit launch. These two notes actually kind of combine because they're quite good. It's pretty good. Very safe on block. This is the biggest thing that people say. It is -12 on block. And a move like this, being -12 on block, is wild. Similar to the Electric Wave Godfist. I listed a bunch of pros. You're like, well, surely it must be like -14 on block. No, -12 on block. You're like, whoa, that's wild. That's wild. So how is it balanced? How can a move like this possibly be balanced? 1. Very short range. 1 backdash your rabbit range. This move is only useful when I'm at kissing distance with you, right? And to be fair, Leo has ways of staying at kissing distance with you, but it's only useful in kissing distance. It's also very linear. It has no phantom tracking, left or right. This is true for many of Leo's moves, right? So it's limited in, it is very powerful, but it's powerful in a very specific and predictable space. It is only useful here. It is not like, say, Jin's down to, which is people have tried to compare it to. And whenever someone says to me, I think it's bullshit that Leo's down forward 2 plus 3 is 12 frames. It should be 13 frames, 14 frames. And I say, you know what? When you make it have longer range and decent tracking, the way that Jin's is, I'm with you. Like, no sarcasm, I'm with you. If you get rid of these cons, I'm with you making it plus 13, like minus 13. Like, I'm genuine, no argument. Like, I think that would be fair. But if you're not, until you remove those cons, respectfully, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Like, don't talk to me. Okay? That's the key crux of this point, right? And I actually want this to be. It's something that pisses me off about Tekken community in general. Oftentimes, when people want to complain about a move or compare two moves, they will cherry pick the information they look at. They'll be like, "Oh, look at this move! It does good damage. It's a +5 on +5 mix-up, counter hit launches, fast save, high crushing, and it's incredibly safe on block." And they won't mention the cons. They won't do that. And I think that's a very obnoxious thing. And I wish more people in the Tekken community had a tendency to steel man the other side. Like, if I'm going to tear down a move, I go, okay, I think this move is really dumb, but here's why I think the developers have given them the move. But now that I've done the steel man and understand why they've done that, here's why I still think it should be removed. Like, if people can start steel manning the positions, right? I think so. But that's a separate topic. Point is, down forward 2, 3, it's a great move, right? But at the same time, think of it this way. Honest question. How many players want their best move in their arsenal to be down forward 2, 3? 2 questions. Real question. I'm just putting that out there. Okay? So, all range suite. So, with Kazuya, I looked at the mid suite, because I thought that was the important thing to focus on when looking at how it combines with his two moves. With Xiaoyu, I looked at the punishment suite, because I think that's what's important when you're looking at Xiaoyu and what makes Xiaoyu complete. And for me, Leo's power is range control. All range suite. Down back 2-4. It's a huge whip punisher. It's mid-high, so you can't just throw it out. But this is a move that is, you know when Paul does Death Fist and it pushes you back? Down back 2-4 can punish it every time, regardless of range. There is not a single range that you can block Death Fist and not hit it. It's got that range, right? That is incredibly useful, to have a consistent punishment at that kind of range, right? It's a very useful punishment tool and harassing tool, because I can throw it out. I can throw out the 2, and if it hits you, I can hit confirm the 4, right? So it's a very useful tool for keeping people at range if that's what I want to do in this matchup. Down 2. It's a mid-range move. Fucking +4 on block. Forces you into crouch. Counter hit launches. Really good move. Really Really useful to have. It's similar to Brian's sort of big hammer. Or Law's dragon hammer. Really useful move. Quarter circle forward 1. It's a dab move. Counter hit low. It's pretty useful. Has long range. You can do it from the longest range if you want to, or you can do it like as a up close poke. On counter hit, it lets you have the while standing 4 1+2 heat engager. Good move. Again, modestly good. It's not game breaking. No one's ever going to complain about this. It's not a launcher. It's not a counter hit low launcher like some characters have, but it'll do, right? It'll do. K&K. You know that stance with the knee? Everyone loves it. It's a close mix-up stance. It's very good for staying at close range if that's where you want to keep the fight. Down back 4-1, a classic hell sweep. It's a defensive hell sweep. It has good tracking. It's one of the few moves that have really good tracking. Doesn't wall splat unless you're at a very specific range. And I mean very specific. Go into the lab and test it yourself if you don't believe me. It's not like Kazuya's. You have to be at a very, very specific range for it to work. So much so that I would say it doesn't wall splat. It just doesn't. Because you cannot functionally plan for it to wall splat. It does break walls though, to be fair. Yeah, good tracking. Does less damage than other hell suites. Does less damage than Demo Man or Kazuya's hell suite. But then again, less jack of all trades. So Leo's version probably should be not as good as other people's, I think. The 4 counter hits, so you can use it if people like to do buttons and sidestep you. You can counter hit, launch you. So it's got uses. It's versatile. But you can tell from the tone that I'm using. I'm like, it's good. It's good. Like, no one can say it's bad, right? It's good. It's good. It's alright. Right? Summary. So why would you play Leo? I think even before I got to the summary, you could probably tell why a person would play Kazuya. Power at the cost of consistency. You can probably tell why someone would play Ling. The ability to escape situations that no one else can escape and to turn the opponent's aggression against them. Why would you play Leo? Pro. Leo can fight at any range. Remember what I said about how Kazuya kind of wants to be a backdash away and then come in at will? And how Xiaoyu kind of wants to be in your face but struggles to keep you there? Leo, unlike those two characters, can fight up close if you want to. It has enough poking strings and mix-up stances to keep you there. But it also has good distance fighting. So against Kazuya, I can stay in Kazuya's face and be like, nope, I'm not going to let you get away. Nope, you're staying here. Leo's down forward 1, moves Leo forward. The jab strings, move them forward, right? A lot of Leo's moves, move them forward. So I can kind of stay on you. So you're trying to backdash so you can wave in. And I'm like, nope, you're staying here. You're not going anywhere, motherfucker. I can keep the fight here. Which is why fighting Leo often feels very suffocating. Despite the fact that when you look at the frame data, there's nothing crazy there. But like, why can't I can't backdash away from this motherfucker. He's just on me. He's just fucking on me, right? Because Leo's move just like, I can keep you here. Conversely, if I'm fighting against someone like Xiaoyu or Asuka, who kind of want me to push a bunch of buttons so they can counter that shit, I say, nah, motherfucker, I'm staying back here. If anything, down forward 2, down back 2-4. I'm staying over here, and I have a bunch of moves to keep at my preferred distance over here, right? So Leo is very good at fighting at any range. That's kind of a key thing. Like I said earlier, key pro is the lack of cons. Leo has a bunch of good moves. Nothing great, nothing outstanding, just good moves. That's the thing. And it's worth mentioning this, that I think Leo's having a bit of an identity crisis right now. Because in earlier Tekkens, or even in early Tekken 7, when characters had clear strengths but also clear weaknesses, being a jack of all trades has clear value, right? Because you're having a character that has a lack of cons is a true strength in a game where everyone else has clear cons. But as the game has progressed, by Season 5 of Tekken 7 and now in Tekken 8, everyone is very well-rounded. Much of Tekken 8 has been about giving characters tools that they never had before to cover up gaps that they've had for their whole life. So now, one must ask, like, what is the value of being a jack of all trades when everyone's pretty well-rounded? Real question. Even Jin, who used to be a competitor for Leo's spot, right, jack of all trades. Leo was the jack of all trades with higher consistency because they required less execution. Jin was the jack of all trades, but had required execution in order to do it. So Jin was more powerful, but less consistent. Leo was less powerful, but more consistent. I value consistency, so I played Leo. But Jin's execution requirements have dropped dramatically and has been given more and more tools, such that one must ask, genuinely, beyond mere character loyalty, why play Leo in this game? That's a real question I'm asking. As a Leo main, I'm really asking that question. I don't know. And just the other day, in fact, one of my favorite players of all time, Wei Gamble, right, a long-time Leo player, I saw him at a tournament. Motherfucker's playing Fang. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. If I was competing for money, I'd play Fang too. Like, that's the correct choice. And it's really disheartening to see that as a Leo player. But at the same time, I'm like, but it's the correct choice. And I don't know what they're going to do. Because Leo, is only really a couple buffs away from being broken. And I don't really want that either. So yeah, I think Leo's in a weird spot balance-wise. I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, why you pick Leo historically is Leo's lack of cons. A pro, tool for every situation. Like I've just suggested, Leo has so many tools. Like, I've ignored tools for all the other characters too, but the amount of tools I'm ignoring for Leo is unbelievable. Because there's tons of just tools that are just useful here. Hey, here's an orbital. It's not as good as like Brian's orbital, but it's a good orbital. Here's a hop kick. Not the best hop kick in the world, but it's a good hop kick. Here's this, here's that. Leo has a tons of situational things. Right? And so there's never a situation where you're labbing a loss and you're like, man, there was nothing I could have done there. I just had to guess. More often than not, it's like, well, you could have done this. You had this move, the built-in sidestep. You had this move, etc. And that's a good feeling for me. I like knowing that there's things I can do. Gives you something to improve into. Con, no centralizing tool. As I've said, look at the tools I pointed out as the best tools Leo has. Down 4-2 and down 4-2 plus 3. How boring is that? Right? How boring is that? Do you want your best tool to be a down 4-2? Realistically. Do you want your best tool to be down 4-2 plus 3? Realistically. Compare this to the Electric Wind God Fist. Compare this to AOP. Compare this to some of the most powerful tools in the game. There isn't a single tool that you can build the entire gameplay around. So in its essence, when you're playing Leo, you actually have to change your game plan dramatically depending on who you're fighting against. Against Kazuya, I need to be in his face, because if we're in neutral, he wins. Against Xiaoyu, I need to be in neutral, because if they're in my face, she wins, right? So you're constantly having to shift your game plan to face other people's, which is tricky, I think. Complex decision making, similar to Xiaoyu, because again, I'm kind of doubling up on this, but like I said before, because Leo's strength comes from their ability to fight at the range that their opponent is the weakest, it requires you actually to be knowledgeable about their ranges and how to exploit that stuff. So Leo's a great character for learning Tekken, I think. I would even argue the best character for learning Tekken. There, I said it. But yeah, I think they demand a lot mentally. Yeah, I genuinely do think so. People might disagree, and I'm biased. You've noticed that I'm a lot more hesitant here because I've been playing, I'm a Leo main, so I don't know that I can truly be emotionally removed from my decision making of the character. I might be downplaying things. If I am, it's accidental, but I'm trying to be honest and fair when I evaluate strengths and weaknesses. But if I'm wrong, it's accidental, I promise. Not disingenuous. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Who should you pick, motherfucker? Who should you pick? That's the question. Well, here's my answer. It all comes down to what do you value the most. Again, do you value power over consistency? Do you value, if so, Kazuya's a great choice. Do you value freedom of movement over offensive power? Then maybe Lily's a good choice, right? Do you value ease of use over offense? Then maybe Asuka's for you. Really what it comes down to is a bunch of valuable traits. You kind of have to look at the characters and be like, okay then, what are the traits that I value in a competitive game? Oftentimes it might help you to look at other games that you play. For example, I used to play a lot of MMOs, I used to play a lot of card games. A lot of the time the trends will repeat themselves, right? I often, like I said, like to subvert the will of my enemies. I like to know what my enemy is trying to do and I'm trying to stop that. How can I reduce your attack power? How can I reduce your ability to do this? How can I stop you from special summoning blah? How can I stop you from doing the thing you want to do? That's how I play. That's my go-to in a competitive situation, which is why a character like Xiaoyu or even Asuka is always going to appeal to me more than a character like any of the missions, right? But I can understand another person, equally intelligent, being like, actually, I'm willing to trade consistency for just raw power, because I like having a centralized plan that I can do against everyone. And I only have to survive defensively long enough to hit you with this fucking hammer, right? That makes sense too. But this is a key thing I want to say, because a lot of this was inspired by a video that was recently made by the Buff Guy. It's a great video. It's a 2-hour long video. I think I'll link it in the description. But he's talking about character difficulty. And because he's talking for 2 hours, he tends to, as we all do, he tends to shift kind of the theme of his discussion. At the start of his video, I'm actually 100% agreeing with him. Because what he's talking about is how certain characters are easier to learn. It's almost like how long does it take for you to get up and running with this character? And to that end, I think his list is like spot on. But inevitably, he also starts to talk about like winning with the character. How easy is it to win with character X versus character Y? And this for me is when I start to go, you're kind of losing me a bit. Because it often depends on the level we're talking about. I'll give you an example. If I'm watching a major tournament and I see that Kazuya has won the tournament, I'm impressed. But if I'm watching a major tournament and I see that Asuka won the tournament, I'm confused, right? I'm confused because Asuka's really bad. So if we're talking about winning at the highest levels of play, I would actually put Asuka higher than Kazuya, significantly higher in fact. But if we're talking about ease of use, like how long it takes you to actually become operational, then he's right to have Asuka right at the bottom. And the problem isn't with him at all. I think he articulates his points perfectly. I can't stress it enough. It's a great value. Me and him, we're good people. He said it himself, and I'm going to reiterate what he said. I get the feeling that if we met in real life, we could have a beer, we could have it out, we'd argue, make no mistake, but it'd be a fun discussion, right? I have no doubt about that. Seems like a cool dude, right? He's not the issue. But I saw someone screen cap his tier list and posted it on Facebook. And the discussion under it was fucking unhinged. Because like, I only respect players who do this, you illicit players are a bunch of bitches, you haram players are a bunch of bitches, you fucking players are over this, you're all elitist, you're doing this, and all this kind of hate. And there's this sentiment that, there's a couple of sentiments that I really wanted to address, and he did not say this himself, so I want to make that clear. It's not the Buff Guy who said this, it's other people's interpretation of what he was saying, but it's a common interpretation. It's this. One of the things that really upsets me with the difficulty thing is that what we're often talking about is respect. There is an underlying sense about a character who's more difficult is more worthy of respect in Tekken. That's people sometimes overtly say this, but even if they don't overtly say this, this is the underlying assumption. And I want to be on record saying that this is fundamentally not true. It is, look at me, it is not true. It is the nottest not true thing possible. And the reason for this is, as I've hopefully articulated throughout this video, is that difficulty is already compensated with power. Okay? It is compensated with power. A lot of people who use high execution characters have this, again, the subtext is that it's unfair. Why do I, as a Kazuya player, I don't get a 15 frame launcher and you do? And it's like, well, my friend, it's because you get an insanely busted I-14 launcher that is incredibly powerful, right? And you essentially are trading in your 15 frame and your hopkick for this power. That is a choice you made by picking this character. I, on the other hand, chose to forego the intense power of the Hell Sweep, Demon Paw, Electric Wind Godface package in favor of this more modest Down Forward 2, Hell Sweep, and this stuff, right? You don't get to complain about the choice I made when you could have made the same choice. But far too often there is a sense of like, well, we know we're doing the real hard work. It's like, no. You have chosen power at the expense of consistency. And other players have chosen consistency at the cost of power. So now we meet equally on the battlefield to see who plays out. We'll see who has made the better choice, combining the tools that we have and our skill. Both choices are valid. Right? I just wanted to get that off my chest because I've seen this before, right? And it's really, again, I've talked about this before, but it's just really frustrating. Snobbishness is an element in all communities, I think, and so I don't necessarily fault it, but it's really faulty reasoning. And it's especially really faulty reasoning because I played Street Fighter, and like, respectfully, the execution in Street Fighter makes the execution in Tekken look like baby, like it's a baby game. Like it's respectfully, it's a baby game, right? So it's like even the execution that we brag about in Tekken is like, it's really not that deep compared to Street Fighter. And so yeah, I just want to put that on the radar. This isn't the main topic of the video, but I just want to put that thought out there because it really, yeah, it's really frustrating for players who chose to take essentially OP moves that are kept honest by the difficulty of the execution, and then complain about that choice after the fact. There's something babyish about that. The analogy I like to think of is, imagine you're a child, right? And you have a sibling, and your parent comes to you and he says, hey, you can either have 2 ice creams now, or you can have 1 ice cream today and 1 ice cream tomorrow, right? And you decide, I'm gonna have 1 ice cream today and 1 ice cream tomorrow. But your sibling goes, I'm gonna have 2 ice creams now. So then today, they're eating their 1 ice cream, you're eating your 1 ice cream, you finish your ice cream, they finish their ice cream, and they go, ha, I got 2 ice creams, you don't have 2 ice creams, la 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 la, and they eat their ice cream. Then the next day comes along, and you eat your 2nd ice cream. And then they look at you and be like, this is bullshit! Why do you get that ice cream? What? This is not fair! Why do you get that ice cream? Well, I don't have an ice cream, why do you have an ice cream? It's like, no. You could have chosen to do what I've done. You chose to have your 2 ice creams up front. I chose to pace mine out. So you don't get to complain to me about you not having ice cream now. No, this is horseshit. You shouldn't get ice cream at all. That's horseshit. This is whack. Everyone should have just got their 2 ice creams on day 1. This is bullshit. It's like, and it's super, it's very annoying. But I digress. Respect other people's choices. This is the key thing I want to say. And I think this is more, again, this is to go through one of the, there's a lot of hate that people get. And to be fair, I'm guilty of this too. I fluctuate between being very playful and friendly and positive and also being like a shit talker. Because I do both, and I'm going to forever. But I want to make it clear. As much as I hate you Horan players and you Alyssa players, I also love you Horan players and Alyssa players, right? Because, like, Tekken is hard. And I have learned, and what you should know, and what everyone should know, is that character choice and Tekken virtue have nothing to do with each other. They are not connected. There are players of this game who play Brian, who play Kazuya, who play, who else? Who else do people consider Lee, I guess? Who else is considered big brain? Steve. There are players who play this character who, I say this with love, are fucking retarded. They're bad at Tekken, right? But they play these characters. And they just run their offense with no thought about what their opponent is doing. They're just doing the thing. And in shooting games, they often refer to this as all aim, no brain. They perhaps have the execution to perform the task, but they do not have the situational awareness, the defensive awareness, and according to social media, the social awareness, to operate intelligently. Meanwhile, while I've definitely lost to some fucking gimmicky bullshit Alysas, I have also lost to some top tier, incredible movement having, super matchup knowledgeable Alysas too, right? There really is no correlation between character choice and Tekken virtue. There really is none. And so, as a Tekken player, it's really important that your only choice be around picking the character whose tool set and I guess whose aesthetics you vibe with. Do not be distracted by any of the snobbery that happens around. Really don't. And again, I have my final sort of case point for this last thing. I'm gonna look at 3 Tekken role models. 1. Jimmy Tran. Jimmy Tran is a player that we all respect in the Tekken community. He's amazing. Why do we respect him? One thing, he's a Brian main, right? A legendary Brian main. He doesn't play any other characters. Character loyalty, despite what I said at the beginning, is something that's really well respected in this community. But make no mistake, Jimmy Tran could play your character too. He doesn't play Brian because he only knows how to play Brian. He could probably play everyone's character really well, but he has chosen Brian for the following reasons. 1, he's less tolerant of risk than other players. He actually plays a very conservative style, picking his points, right? Picking his moments. But he's willing to risk consistency in the form of execution. He's willing to go for things that have a high chance of dropping, but have a high amount of power, right? That's the classic high execution player, right? He's willing to make that risk. And he also has precise punishment. This is what he's famous for. He's a robot, as Ares would often say. He's a robot. He will punish your 13 frame move with a 13 frame punch. He will punish your 14 frame move with a 14 frame punch. He will punish your 15 frame move with 15. He is machine-like in his execution. And that's part of the reason why we love him. Conversely, you have John Ding. John Ding is an Eddie main. Everyone hates Eddie. Why does he play Eddie? Does he play Eddie because he's not smart enough to play Steve? No. He can play Steve. He can play Steve better than you, probably. But he plays Eddie because he has a high tolerance for risk. He's willing to put his dick on the table. He's absolutely willing to just fucking bet it all. He's willing to play it, right? But he also values consistency. He doesn't play high execution characters because he doesn't want that 20 to 30% chance of dropping a combo at a clutch time. He doesn't want that, right? High risk, high tolerance for risk, valuing consistency, and also he's playing for the highlight reel. He wants to do the cool shit, right? He wants to show out. And we love him for that. We love party players, right? That's why John Ding is loved. Kudance, right? Kudance, interesting player. Devil Jin main. Moderate risk. He has a very traditionally Korean style, but he absolutely will out of nowhere throw out some crazy shit, right? Also, he's willing to risk consistency, right? He doesn't necessarily go for the show out combo every time, but he can do it when he needs to, right? But what Kudance was most known for, don't whiff. You can tell that Kudance is a player who is spending a lot of his mental energy watching and waiting for you to fuck up, right? In some ways, he has a weirdly Xiaoyu energy. He's waiting for you to fuck up so he can catch you with some shit. This is his style, right? I highlight these 3 people to highlight the fact there are many different ways to play Tekken. And I'm tired of people being like, oh, character X is real Tekken, character Y is non-real Tekken, or it's character Y is anti-Tekken. There is no such thing. It's all Tekken, right? And I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not talking down to other people. I'm guilty of this, it's not real Tekken. Whatever, that's bullshit, it's gimmicky, right? But at the same time, know that when we say that, it's flippantry, it's not real. And we have to remember there's a lot of players for whom this is their first Tekken game and their first entry into the community. And there are many ways to be great. And I think the key point I want to play away, there's actually one thing that all these players have in common. Well, 2 things they have in common. 1, they're all really good at Tekken. That's key. So no matter who you play, if you get good enough, none of this shit matters. Remember that. Get good enough, none of this shit matters. But secondly, and this is perhaps the most important thing, all 3 of these people are good dudes. They're good dudes. You watch them in interviews, they're humble, they're friendly, they're courteous. Like, they are people who you want to be around. They are good people. There are more people I can put up there. The Little Margins of the world, the Cuddle Cores, the JDCRs, the Ranchers. They just seem like good people. And that might not seem like the most important thing on this list of traits, but I assure you, it's the most important thing I've said in the entire video. Just be good to each other. Like, fucking do it. Okay? Like, just fucking do it. I don't care who you mate. Just be good to each other. And maybe at the end of the day, that's the real point of this video. So yeah, I'm done. I'm scared to see how long this has been. It's probably been a long, rambling video. I hope that there is some value in what I've said to at least some of you out there. And yeah, until next time, be good to each other. Peace.